Live show on YouTube, Into the Fringe, where we discuss lost civilizations, UFOs, cryptids, unsolved mysteries, megalithic structures, extraterrestrials, interdimensional portals, time skips, and more. Don't change that channel, because now you are leaving the mainstream and entering into the fringe. Well, greetings, Cardinal Sin Nation. It is I, Cardinal Sin. I mean, I can't host somebody else's show, so I guess I better host my own. And today we have a real treat. Walter Bosley is our guest, and he is an investigator of historical occult mysteries, author of pulp fiction novels, a screenwriter, and has appeared on History Channel's Ancient Aliens. And unless I miss my guess, we're going to be seeing a lot more of him on that network or associated networks thereof. After 20 years in national security, Walter Bosley runs his small press publishing company, Lost Continent Library. Still waiting for my t-shirt. Founded in 2002. Bosley has traveled much of the world and has been a publisher and author for 2 decades. Bosley spends his time writing fiction and nonfiction as well as investigating strange occult mysteries. The latest news about Bosley's projects and books can be found at his website, lostcontinentlibrary.com. Welcome back, my friend, Walter Bosley, to Into the Fringe.
Hey, Gil, it's good to be here. I've been away for several weeks doing things, and so I'm back at the home studio.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you back, and I imagine that with everything going on in your life, you've been kept a busy little bee.
Yes, I have. Yes, indeed. I was on the research trip. It was a trip for multiple business reasons to Montana, one of which was research for one of the esoteric Napoleon books that are going to be on the way.
Oh, so now there's just more than one, huh?
Yeah, I realized that there's a lot there, and so the next one, Volume 2, is just going to cover one particular element of that a lot there. So I'm excited about that because I really like writing about this Napoleon stuff, and I think this is the best way to go.
Do you think you're going to have the second volume out by the time that Sir Ridley Scott's film debuts?
Oh, yeah. What is the debut on that again? Next year? Next spring?
I don't know. I thought you knew.
No, I know they were filming it. I don't know if they wrapped shooting or not, but I'm looking at, I'd really like to have Volume 2 out by September, so that's what we're looking at.
Cool. And before we do our traditional tiki pour up, I just wanted to say hello to some folks in the chat. Sean Carter is here. Greetings. Radioactive, channel member. Thank you. Canadian Spider Man. He's also a channel member. Good to see you. Darius Munchausen is in the house. Ari is here. That, for some reason, just reminded me of all the times I used to hear Greg Bishop say, Walter's here. Rui Goncalves is in the house. Greetings. Jonocide is here. A great example of how our channels have swapped subscribers.
Big time. I'm telling you. I appreciate that. I thank you.
Tessa D777 is here.
There
Well,
she
she's
is.
had a long day. I watched her do her morning show today. Or was
Oh,
that yesterday?
great. Oh,
And YU Tan is here and says, "Hail, good evening, all, and welcome to Into the Fringe." And as we always do, we're going to start with a little tradition that Walter and I have.
indeed.
And after we do that, I will get on to some other stuff. But let's go ahead and do our tiki pour up. Now, there are two ways that this is judged. One, tiki versus tiki. Which one could beat the other one up? Or you can score on cool points. So I'm going to go ahead and let you show yours, Walter.
Because I spilled the beans earlier.
That's all right.
I'm imbibing with Fin Fang Foom. Fin
And of
Fang
course,
Foom.
I was trying to trick you because I thought you were going to bring on the Gorn, so I
The
brought my
Gorn.
Gorn.
Okay. This is a good pair though. Fin Fang Foom and the Gorn are a good pair, I think.
Clink. So let's go ahead and pour these up. What are you drinking today?
This evening's beverage is a Stumptown original cold brew.
Ooh.
I can drink coffee as long as it's cold brewed.
Really? Well, that's cool.
So here we go.
Indeed,
We're
as
ready
they
when
say,
you are.
in the mud.
There it is.
So I am partaking of a Tasty Jones berry flavored soda.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice. The Jones sodas are among the best of the boutique sodas.
Boutique? But Walter, isn't that something they say down in the South? Boutique?
Boutique.
Boutique. And for the second part of my pour up, just
Oh.
regular old Canada Dry ginger ale.
You're doing
the only
a blend.
ginger ale on the market that still has real ginger in it.
That's true. That's true. There's one, there used to be a few years back, coffee bean and tea leaf. Coffee bean and tea leaf. Yeah. They used to have one of those small company ginger ales that had real ginger, but honestly, I have not seen any of those in 3 years.
I'd reckon that's a bad sign then.
Yeah, it was really good. I loved them, but of course,
And I'm just doing a little housekeeping. OG Tab is here. Hello. Nicholas Horton is in the house. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anybody. And while we are still waiting for folks to roll in, I have a little bit of housekeeping because I've been under the weather and I've had a couple of cancellations. So this is the first Into the Fringe in like 7 or 8 weeks.
Whoa, that long?
Yeah.
How you doing?
I have a chronic pain issue, and when the weather changes, it gets really bad.
Yeah.
So, but I'm fine.
I can see that. Good. That's good to hear. My only issue is if I miss taking my medication for rheumatoid arthritis, it can wreak havoc on me a little bit for some hours. But listen to us, a couple of old guys.
I've got
cranking about
arthritis too. I've had it since I was 17.
Yeah. Oh God. I don't know how you've been dealing with it that long, because, boy, it really you know better than I do that when it decides it's going to debilitate you, it owns the day.
You can't just not get wiped out.
Right.
Basically. All right. So let's see here. As people are rolling in, I wanted to mention that about an hour and 20 minutes in, the mods will put in the URL into the chat for you to follow to have your name put on the spinner wheel for our lucky weekly winner. Did you have an idea for a giveaway today?
Well, I have a couple of T-shirts that could fit into that category. I think one is the Hoots figure, the little demon mask guy from Hell's Bells, and there's I believe a kaleidoscope grimoire and maybe an eerie twins thing. So what we could do is, here's what we do: we see who wins, and based upon the size they need, that's when the exact T-shirt will be revealed.
Excellent idea.
And I have them sitting in a basket right behind the screen. So
well, why don't you go ahead and use this moment to break them out, and let's share them with everybody
and show them. Okay, yeah. Let me grab that basket.
Haven't you got a producer there working with you? Crikey, you can't hear me. That's all right. Nothing to hear here. So welcome, everyone. It's been a minute. Glad to be back up on the horse, as it were. And so glad that you could join us tonight. I'm so glad we had this time together. Oh, wow.
Okay. Wait a minute now. Hold on. This chair's a two-handed affair when getting into it. There we go. And let's see. These are very interesting headphones that I finally am getting used to. I think I got these in right.
Are those AirPods?
No, they're hardwired, but the way they go in is not standard. Hold on, I think I got them. Do some elevator music while I do this. Hum some elevator music or something. Oh, there we go. My usual headphones are being utilized elsewhere, so I have gotten used to these. There we go. Probably should have had the basket in front. Oh, there we go. That's what I've been doing wrong. Okay. Back with you.
Third time's the charm, right, Walter?
Yeah, there we go. I think that's good. There we go. Okay, so.
All right, now I'm going to make you big so that we can see the best shot of the shirts.
Okay. We have this design.
Ooh, Hell's Bells.
Yes. That's the iconic Hell's Bells Demon Sister Twin thing.
Available for free, I'm told, on YouTube.
For free?
The
the movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You can watch that's right. Here's the Hoots.
Oh man, I've got to have one of those.
Yeah, this is the children's size, by the way, I believe. Yeah. Children's size.
Well, we don't have any children watching tonight.
But well, someone watching may be a parent.
That's true.
And here, of course,
bloody micro earbuds.
And here's the Kaleidoscope Grimoire T-shirt.
That's a very fetching T-shirt, I must say.
Yes, it is. It's lovely. And,
excellent. So before we're finished tonight, make sure and remind me about the sizes thing, because
yes,
Philip Blair, it was the lady from Ipanema. You win
I believe the single most recorded song in modern music history. Yes,
not
lady
just,
from
Herb Alpert. Huh?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. It's the girl from Ipanema. Is the title? Yeah. Girl from Ipanema is.
That was the elevator music I was humming while you were.
Yeah. Oh, something I definitely want to talk about that involved your friend Cameron Pashaw in a discussion, but we'll get to that.
Okay. I just wanted to remind folks that if you are one of tonight's lucky winners, make sure to get in touch with me at gil@sunflower.com. That's Gil with one L, with your name and mailing address, and I'll make sure I get that information to Walter right away. Also, a few housekeeping notes. The Cardinal Sin Patreon page is up and running at patreon.com/Gil Bavel. And I've completed my YouTube channel membership levels along with custom loyalty badges, so please feel free to join. There are lots of different tiers with different incentives and cool rewards, so please check out both my Patreon and, of course, channel membership levels, if only to have a good laugh, because I put everything I could think of into those, and they're pretty funny. So join the Cardinal Sin Patreon community and hang out with us like-minded geeks and weirdos, right, Walter?
Indeed. I'm going to check it out. I follow one show on Patreon, and I need to expand. Throw a couple of them bucks around.
Throw a couple of bucks their way. And also, the first 90 people that join my Patreon at the Unseen Mysteries level or higher, that's a $4.99 tier, will win this spiffy Cardinal Sin bullion coin.
Excellent.
That's designed by the one and only Fet for Hire. And this is the obverse or the inverse or whatever it is. And definitely sign up now, because they're going to go fast. And once they're gone, they're gone.
Now, is that considered a challenge coin?
Yes. Did I say a bullion coin?
Yes.
Yeah, I meant a challenge coin. Yeah.
Be careful. Be careful, because you got to be careful with the C word, because when you say the C word, that means everybody has to grab their RMO, as we say in the military, round metal object, and the last guy out on the table buys the round. So when you say the C word, if you're around a bunch of military guys, they're all going to reach in for their RMOs. So I'm just saying.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind. PJ Bears here. Howdy. So yeah, check those out. Those are cool. And according to my analytics, over 60% of the people that watch my content aren't subscribed to this channel. Please subscribe. It really does make a big difference. And as Canadian Spider-Man says, it's free. It costs you nothing. So please make sure that you're subscribed, or Canadian Spider-Man will beat me up. And you'll save a puppy. Now, what's all this about Cameron Pashaw?
Oh, I was watching a thing on Doomcock's new channel.
Mm-hmm.
Pop Culture Breakdown, is that what he's calling it, or was that what the old
that's his Wednesday show.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's a Wednesday show. Well, he's got that the newly named channel, and he had some of the guys on there. One of them was Cameron, talking about his time at Disney, because they were talking about the Disney shareholders suing the company for their
which
bad
I think is
business
outstanding.
choices. Well, I loved hearing Cameron go through all the things he warned them were going to happen. He pointed out they absolutely did happen with that company. So, he talks about, even though they told him to, clear his desk and thank you, you may go. He was right.
Yeah. Oh, he's always right.
He was right. Which brings me to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny had its screening at Cannes today. And I've only seen one review referred to. I haven't seen or heard any others, and I was wondering if you had.
No.
Okay, so we'll have to see.
And frankly, the faster Disney goes bankrupt and disintegrates will be none too soon for me.
I think one of the things they were talking about, Doomcock and Cameron and the other guy, I can't remember his name. I see his face, the guy with the ball cap and stuff. Anyway, they were saying how Warner Brothers is looking good on their comeback after going down the toilet. So I think Disney needs that.
3 was such a disappointment.
Really?
Oh man.
Yeah, Disney needs to hit the bottom so they can readjust.
Well, I'm not even sure what they would do at the bottom. I mean, I guess they'd fire Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, from my understanding is she's on her way out, eventually, like later this year or something. They're giving her the pride cut.
Yeah, I think that they're going to let her ride out the whole Indy 5 thing, and then give her all kinds of awards and praise and a nice golden
Yeah.
parachute.
Yeah.
And then if she doesn't leave, they're going to kick her to the curb, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that they've pulled it out of a nosedive and they surprise us all in a good way with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
I hope so.
So
It
I'll be
couldn't be
there
a
on
whole
June
lot worse
30th.
than that Crystal Skull debacle.
Yeah, that
Actually, it could, and it might very well be worse. We may be looking in fondness back
remember
some years now about
remember
the first one.
how Crystal Skull made Temple of Doom actually a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and in all fairness, when I thought about that, I'm like, I think I've been too hard on Temple of Doom,
Temple of
particularly
Doom's
after
a good movie.
It is actually. It is.
It's got kind of some long set pieces, like the whole coal track, sequence.
Yeah,
And all
the
that.
roller coaster thing, which
That
would have
was
been a
more
hell of
like
a
a
ride.
video game.
Yeah, they should have. The Indiana Jones ride should have been, the mine train roller coaster.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So anyway,
so it's been a minute since we caught up.
yes.
How are things?
Good. Good. Very good.
Is there anything you can tell me that you wouldn't have to kill me for later?
No. Let's see. It's looking like I'll give you an exclusive. It's looking like I'm going to have 3 books released this year.
No
And I'll just leave it
kidding.
at that. One of them being Esoteric Napoleon Volume 2.
Of course.
But there's a couple of others that turned out in the works.
We might have to talk about that off air.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps. Interesting Kaleidoscope Grimoire news.
Mm-hmm.
I tested a green screen program. I can't remember the name of it, but we tested that just to test the function of it. And in fact, I jokingly, if you recall, in the little snippet I sent to you donor producers, I was kind of laughing because our test really did look like a David Lynch sequence. I'm like, all right, it's Lynchian, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking maybe I should have that look. Yeah, so there's that. And also, we are laying a big concrete pad in the backyard, and on
good.
that,
I thought that was going to get kinky for a minute.
Oh, no. On that pad, I am going to be likely likely more like not immediately, but putting in a shed that will be customized to be used as my animation studio, complete with
so long as you don't have another one, because then we would have to call you Walter Two Sheds Bosley.
Two Sheds Bosley, yeah. Let me ask something. What's that? What's those little air conditioning units that you talk about?
Mini splits.
Mini splits. We're going to have a mini split air conditioning unit in there. It's going to be where I will do my animation studio, because that way, animation takes a while, and you can only work so many hours of the day.
So you
sure
stop. That everything's going to be exactly as you left it.
Exactly.
Except,
for
of
continuity
course, since
and
you
stuff.
live in California and they have all kinds of earthquakes out there. What was the last earthquake that you personally felt? The 1981 World Series or 1989 World Series one?
Oh boy. That was no. I've felt well. I was in New York in '93, but I've felt earthquakes since then that I've felt. But what's interesting about the 1989 one, real quick, I was working for the FBI at the time. I had been on the surveillance teams that followed the then Soviets all over San Francisco and the city area, and over into Oakland and stuff. And I was on my way in October of '89 during the World Series week. I was driving across country to report to the Baltimore division for Russian training for 11 months, and I had just pulled into my motel in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I turned the TV on to watch the series, and I saw that right before the earthquake started trembling, and remember Al Michaels was like, "Oh, holy smokes!" Well, anyway, here's the wild thing. All the places in the 1989 earthquake that the most destruction hit in San Francisco, this was wild. All the places you saw buildings collapsed, of course, the horrendous bridge collapse, that double decker thing, which what made them build a double decker freeway anywhere in California, much less
Is
San
that
Francisco.
the Bay Bridge?
The one leading up to the Bay Bridge. Remember the cement, the double thing collapsed, killed people and stuff. Buildings collapsing in the Marina District. Every place you go and you see bad destruction, particularly where people died, those were places. Time of day, we always had our surveillance teams on one Russian agent or another, and so. I was in a motel. This was the days before cell phones. The next morning, I rolled through El Paso and I stopped at the El Paso office, the FBI office. Showed my credential, got in. I said, "Hey, I'm from San Francisco division. I like." They said, "Oh yeah, come on in." I made a call to my supervisor and he said, "Walter, it was the weirdest thing. Yesterday, none of our Russians were anywhere where they usually were at. They were all our targets were in different places that they usually didn't go to." He goes, "Nobody on the team was caught up or hurt in the earthquake or anywhere near the destruction." It was a miracle, because I fully expected, because I've come across that double-decker bridge following our Russians back from Berkeley and Oakland at that exact time of day before. And so I was amazed. But no, I was driving, my ass across New Mexico when that actually hit.
No earthquakes to speak of in northeast Kansas, although we are pretty close, I guess, to the New Madrid fault.
Yeah, but you get tornadoes.
Yeah, boy, do we ever.
You get
and
tornadoes.
They're just getting stronger and stronger. The last one that I checked in on had straight line winds of 400 miles an hour. And that's
crap.
like hurricane speed.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean things are getting real for sure.
Yeah. You think of, oh my gosh, cows and tractors and houses flying through the air, but there's splinters and there's nails and there's all tiny little pieces of glass that, I mean, how many people get injured or killed by the minutia each year?
Yeah. I was watching a video the other day that was talking about like the 10 most damaging tornadoes of all time. And I was aware of 3 or 4 of them, but I didn't know about the other 6 or so. And actually here in Lawrence, we have something that's called the Lecompton Split. Lecompton is a town out a ways. And the geography of the area, around Lawrence is such that we've got the Kansas River running through downtown. And no matter how fierce the tornado is, the tornadoes always pick up their tail, and then when they get across the river, they put it back down, and everybody in Missouri has to deal with them.
Yeah. You've been married in the past, right?
I have.
Yeah. Did you ever see, like, your mother-in-law riding a bicycle in a tornado? Or
no.
I couldn't resist. And your little dog too.
Then mother-in-law even had a bike or knew how to ride a bike. But she was a lovely woman.
Yeah, I actually, my second mother-in-law just passed away a few days ago. She was 87. So my son is back on Long Island for the wake and the funerary rites and festivities.
And did you say last time you were on that he was getting his degree?
No. He's working in the biz. He's a techie. He runs
Gotcha.
tech stuff and stage managing craft stuff for the Geffen Theater in Los
Hmm.
Angeles, which just finished a run of a play about Ava Gardner, starring Elizabeth McGovern. And I think his most fun experience, though, encounter as far.
I almost thought you said Elizabeth Montgomery, and I was like, wait.
Well, Seance Theater is coming in October,
Right,
and
right.
Elizabeth Montgomery will be there. But Andy Garcia played the villain in Key Largo a couple of years
Hmm.
back before COVID.
The
And
remake. Yeah.
Austin said that Andy Garcia was really friendly and very cool with the stage people, the tech people, the stage hands, and all that. And he invited them to a private party being put on by a friend of his. He
Aw.
invited all the stage guys, and so they got to party with Andy Garcia, smoke cigars with him, and but he does little. We're coming full circle now. We're back to Indiana Jones. He's had a little Harrison Ford experience by he has learned professional carpentry and has
Hmm.
done some carpenter gigs on the side in between productions. But he's still a creative. He is working on a script for one of his short films, and he recently wowed me by writing a children's book.
Hmm.
And he said, hey, Dad, let me show you the text that I've got written. And I got to tell you, Gil, wow. I told him, I said, I know I'm your dad and everything, but as a professional writer and publisher and lifelong reader, this is solid. This
Yeah.
is this is fantastic. You need to turn this into a book. So he's in the process of turning it into a young reader's book,
Hmm.
and he's already hired the artist who she's doing the artwork for it. And so I'm really excited because he's venturing out into into the publishing world. So he's
A little
still
chip off the
working
old
it.
block, huh?
Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll be better than the old block. So
Well, that's pretty high marks, my friend.
that's what I
Pretty high
tell him.
marks. There's, it's not everybody that I know that's making movies, writing and publishing books, making. Did I already say models?
Models.
Models,
Oh, yeah. And that
films.
brings me to the other thing I wanted to share with you.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
by all means.
I went into a store today. What the heck was the name of the store? Do you recall? The game store.
I don't remember.
Jack's was the toy store.
Jack's is a toy store.
There's a place in Redlands, and I apologize because, my gosh, I wanted to give them a plug, but there's a place in Redlands on State Street right next to Jack's Toys. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna do a feature on them, but a couple of young guys running a store that's a gaming store. RPG board
Sure.
games,
Yeah.
and with minis and
Like
fantasy games.
tabletop. Yeah.
A tabletop, yeah, and of course they host the games and everything.
I think that was the name of it.
Tabletop games.
I think it is.
Yeah, something like
Maybe.
that. I'll
look
get
it up.
I'll
Oh,
get it
wow.
in the future. But I turned, and there it was, rack after rack, shelf after shelf of acrylic.
Oh, let me guess. Let me guess. Of Ray action figures on closeout.
Yeah, because nobody wants them. There you go. No, acrylic paints. There was Vallejo, and there was two other brands that I was unfamiliar with. But my gosh, Gil, every shade that you can imagine. I was in heaven because when you're building models and you're just getting your paints at the Hobby Lobby and stuff like that, even some hobby shops, they just don't have this variety. And I realized, I said, you guys sell minis too, don't you? And they go, oh yeah.
Board Game Paradise.
What's that?
Board Game Paradise.
Board Game Paradise. Board
Ah.
Game Paradise in Redlands, California on State Street.
Sounds
If you're in the
cool.
IE, check it out. It's very cool. And anyway, I found the full spectrum of any color I could want. So I'll be jumping back into the modeling, and I was talking with my on the live stream of Max's Models at Max's Models on YouTube, and there was a few of us talking about our C57s. And no, it wasn't Max's Models. It was another thing I was on, and somebody said, "What's your most intimidating model?" And
I bet
they're
I know what your answer was.
I said the C-57. I said, I go,
Yeah.
this thing is gigantic. It was gifted to me by a friend, and this thing is gigantic, and I want it to be just right.
What is it, like
And
4 or 5 feet across?
oh, it's 3 feet.
3 feet.
It's like almost a yard across,
Wow.
and it's it's like, oh, it actually, it's going to be like 3 models, because the interior is, the detail on the interior and everything, that in itself, and then just the sheer size of it. And that's not one that you just slapdash together, but
No,
with all
no.
these paints, I know
As I
it'll look
recall,
good.
you were going to be painting it in sections.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I'm looking
I'm
forward
gonna do the
to.
interior first. The
Mhm.
interior is of that model. The interior is priority 1 this year, because once I get the interior done, the rest of the big parts, yeah, and
Right. And
so
they all fit together.
oh yeah, I've tested the fit, and it's pretty good.
Okay, let's go ahead and dive right in now that we have a full audience here.
Okay.
I wanted to know if you could tell us a little bit about the 1897 airship mystery and
Uh-huh.
how Origin went on to further shape your point of view.
I'm glad you asked about Origin, because that's one of the
What
uh,
a microphone.
source materials that I'm drawing from on one of these 3 books I was just mentioning. So that's very, very good. Origin, the 19th century emergence of the 20th century breakaway civilizations. As most of you who follow me, have read my books, know, I've now shifted. I've reduced them to a breakaway group. Civilization is too big of a word, but
Yeah.
still,
Breakaway
Richard
society,
Dolan's
wasn't it?
definition is, breakaway society, breakaway, but Dolan's definition is still outstanding for
Yeah.
what we're talking about. That's one thing he did very well.
I
The
can't
Wilson
remember if
docs,
it
not so
was.
much.
I can't
Huh?
remember if the first time I heard the phrase breakaway civilization, I don't remember if it was you or uh, him that I first heard it from, but uh, boy, it sent me off in a rabbit hole direction.
I think the first time I might have heard about it was either Joseph Farrell or someone talking with him. But in that
Speaking of
milieu.
Joseph Farrell, I caught your show with
Ah,
Joseph,
yes.
and I thought it was very entertaining. And I wanted
Thank
to ask
you.
you, what did you think of the show, and do you know when he'll be back on again?
Oh, I'll probably have him back on in like another 4 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
I want this to be, this is an ongoing discussion. It is proving to be the most popular discussion I've ever had on the show. And what really exploded it was the time.
2,500 views right now.
What's that?
You're at 2,500.
Yeah, I'm at 2,500 views, and that was just now 24 hours ago, right? Yeah, and it's incredible. I get most of my views on that discussion specifically, but a couple of the last time I had Joseph on to talk about it, about 6 weeks or so ago, you know how the conversation just goes, and when we got to the part where it dawned on me, it occurred to me, hey, wait a minute. Could Tunguska,
Mm-hmm.
The Tunguska incident, could that have been a strike from the Great Pyramid, the Giza Death Star,
Right.
Great Pyramid, in ancient times across time and space? And his response was, yes, it could be.
Yeah.
And that opened up the whole thing, that he said, that's what I've been trying to say. That's what I'm talking about. And there was some other aspect of it that I think even he had not considered at the time he wrote it. And boy, people really responded to that. It's. I had him back on, and it was still. I think it has
Barely
opened.
scratched the surface, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing, he he released the Giza Death Star Revisited,
Mm-hmm.
which is just that, a revision of his Giza Death Star trilogy, the first 3 books. But he's got a new one coming out that is not just a revision, and so that'll be coming out soon. There they are. There's one of the editions that I publish now.
This is the Corvus edition.
Yeah, I published Joseph's original trilogy: Giza Death Star Deployed, Giza Death Star Destroyed.
And fascinating reading, to be honest. I mean, I've always loved Dr. Farrell's work, but this was a real service that you did for the community, for the research community, by publishing his out of date stuff.
Yeah, it was somehow the renewal or something. It fell through the cracks and it became free. And he said, "Hey, do you want to publish the original trilogy? Because I have new stuff coming out." And I'm like, "Oh, heck yeah, Because we need to keep those books in publication. Need to keep them in print." And I thought, I got to have Joseph in my catalog.
Well, hell's yeah.
You know, so that's a good move. And
I've been trying like crazy to get him on Into the Fringe.
I have. You know what? I'll keep sending him emails.
Well,
I'll send him
I
messages.
think we need to step up the. I think we need to tell him we know where his family lives and stuff like that, if he doesn't come on the show. No, but seriously, I've been reading his books for decades, and I mean, it just doesn't get any better, you know, with the possible exception of your work.
Let me, well, my believe me, I stand on the shoulders of giants like him. But here's the thing: all of Joseph's books, he will tell you. He revealed this to me years ago. All of his books are serving his ultimate presentation of the theory, the hypothesis that inspired him to write. Whether it's the ancient pyramids, whether it's the secrets of finance, whether it's breakaway civilization, whether even it's JFK assassination stuff, which he did one of those. Everything he's written, it's all connected, and I can relate to that because, as I tell people, all of my nonfiction books, one has literally led directly to the next one. Mine are all connected by 2 threads, of course: the goddess Hecate and the mysterious Tuatha De Danann. Those 2, whether it's Disneyland, Empire of the Whale, Occult, Murder Mystery, the Secret Missions, Historical Explorers, you name it, Airship Mystery, it's all tied with those 2 threads. So, Joseph's being tied together, I'm just fascinated with where it goes each time.
Speaking of the Great Pyramid, I was curious if I can get this to work. I don't know why it isn't working. One moment, please. This is supposed to be a real slick, segue, but I guess I don't get to do those anymore.
Technology has other plans.
Well, that and cognitive decline and memory dysfunction and things like that. But I'm going to see if I can share this again, because it's rapidly losing its relevance as I dawdle.
I'll do the elevator music.
But it's not coming up. It doesn't want to play nice.
It is resistant.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break out a brand new tab. Baby's got a brand new bag. And see if I can share it that way. Okay, we might have a little bit more luck with that. This is something that I think that we were going to discuss previously, but didn't get around to. One more time. There we go. All right. What can you tell us about this?
Well, I can tell you one thing. It is not, never has been, and was never intended to be a tomb. We
Right.
know that.
Yep.
So get that idea. I know another thing. It was not commissioned by Khufu. That has proven to be a forgery and a lie that Howard Weiss committed. So what is it? It is a machine, of course. I think a machine with psychotronic properties, and if
Did
you
say
look
with
up
psychotronic properties?
psychotronic properties, yes,
Psychotronic.
a machine that works in conjunction with human consciousness to expand the reach of the human mind.
I'm really
And
interested in this idea of Dr. Farrell's, that which of course you can read about in the books I just showed you. That the Great Pyramid of Giza was not only meant to be a weapon and was used,
right,
but that it could be a temporal weapon.
yes, and that's what the discussions we've been having, transtemporal cosmic warfare across time, a war across the cosmos and time and space, and that's mind-blowing. And it's actually dangerous, because if a blast from ancient times, okay, hit Tunguska with such destructive force in 1908, it's a ticking time bomb. We at any moment could be struck by one of these cosmic technology blasts anywhere on this planet, in any city, any place, at any given time, that was initiated tens of thousands of years ago. That's the concept, and that's troubling, because could that be what has been the kill shot, so to speak, in past times?
Or could it have been the kill shot for Mars, really?
From Mars, yes. The war could have been between us and Mars, and Tunguska could have been a blast from Mars. Yeah. Absolutely.
Sure.
And maybe the condition of the ruins on Mars, which they're lying to us about, I'm convinced, my personal opinion, or they're playing a lying game with us. I think they're not addressing it, but they're letting it show up in the photos.
Well, I mean, you're the counterintelligence expert. You know, how likely is that?
Very, I see. This is why I say this, because I totally see how that, and here's why they would do that. Just ignore it. Don't address it. People are clearly going to see objects that are not natural. They're clearly going to see, these are ruins. They're clearly going to go, what happened there? That's not just the ravages of time, we don't think. But why would they do that and not say anything now? So that when the day comes that it is revealed what they know about life on or having been on other planets, they can say, we've been showing you all along. You know, you've been seeing this all along. We didn't, we weren't really keeping it from you. But got a little dog action outside the window.
Of course, for the second photo of the face on the Cydonia plain, which apparently never existed.
I'm suspicious about that. I think that one of two things there. They have either photographically obscured the image so they can claim nothing to see here.
Straight out blurred stuff out and released it to the public.
Yeah. Or, I hate to say it, or they destroyed it.
Yeah. Which, wouldn't be out of character for NASA at all.
Well, there's that guy. There's one guy, a civilian employee of NASA. Now, I don't know if it's still the case now, but I remember some years back, like 10 years or so ago, there's this one guy who NASA allows to hold all the copyrights to the images that they take from space. And the controversy was, hey, wait a minute. The people, the taxpayers, they own, if you go on the national...
That's our stuff.
Yeah, you go on the NASA site, you're allowed to, like the thing behind me, you're allowed to download anything that is NASA, and unfortunately, this guy, he's based in San Diego. He personally owns the copyrights of images that, in particularly inclusive of things people really want to see the most. And I don't know how they get away with that, But the government does a lot of things that, they don't
that
care
aren't
whether
above board, Walter. Really?
So, but this guy, bless you. This guy, this is ridiculous that he controls these images.
The thing that I thought was the most suspicious, that it kind of sealed the deal for me, that NASA really does stand for never a straight answer, is when the 40th anniversary of the moon landings was coming up, they had kept very clean a pristine machine that was capable of playing back those, 1-inch tapes or whatever they were of the moon landing.
Yeah.
And first, they realized they didn't have the software to make that little box work. And coincidentally, all of the film had gone missing.
Yeah. Baloney.
So, yeah.
Oh.
The more you know. Yes.
My alarm. Excuse me. That's the 6 o'clock alarm.
That's the call the kids time.
Yes, it is.
What do you
Okay.
mean? It's 8 o'clock. No, I'm kidding.
It depends on what temporal zone.
Yes, indeed.
So, I'm intrigued. That's that. When you ask that about the, it could have been a strike from Mars, and there could be another one coming at any given time. Could that explain
it kind of
the
fits in with Dr.
DEW?
John Brandenburg's theory?
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Could that also be involved with the DEW directed energy weapon suspicions with the weird California fires out here?
Yeah. Man, you guys don't get a break. It's either a drought or it's a flood or, something.
It's a fire or it's a Gavin Newsom or
Hey now.
Hey now.
This isn't a political show.
That's right.
Or we're going to have to give equal time, because I'm an old school when it comes to politics. I'm a bit of a news hound, and I know that they don't have to do this anymore, but they used to have to give equal time to everybody that was running. And
well, I'll be fair and balanced here.
Okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, the last Republican governor, he was just as bad. He was just as bad. That guy, oh my God. I advocate new party. But
he was my governor when I lived in Vallejo, California.
Oh, you were in Vallejo at that time. Okay.
Yeah. The governor. It's not a tumor.
Which brings us back to the board game, the game store, because Vallejo Paints was one of the brands. It's a fine, excellent brand of modeling and crafting paint.
Yeah, I actually took note of that, and I wasn't able to segue from one to the other very.
Our friend Olaf Phillips, who I think have you had Olaf on the show?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, no, he lives in
on the show. I've seen him in the chat on your show.
Oh, we got to get him on your show. He lives in Martinez, which, if I'm not mistaken, isn't far from Vallejo, or is it?
Martinez?
Yeah,
never heard of it. That doesn't. Doesn't mean it's not the case.
I'm a California native, and I'd never heard of it either. But Martinez is where Olaf lives, and Olaf, of course, as you know, has written about secret space program and breakaways as well. Very, very interesting. Very interesting guy. Interesting research that he does.
I just wanted to let Radioactive know that that is going to be the next T-shirt in the lineup at gillstore.org. Welcome to the deep state, with like an Into the Fringe logo on the top. I think that's really cool. Okay. So any other ideas about how writing Origin went on to further shape your perspective?
Yeah, it led to Origin happened because of Empire of the Wheel 2, Friends from Sonora, and other threads I was pulling, and I had to give a presentation at the 2015 SSP conference, the good SSP research, the last real SSP conference, and that was the one where the insidious Corey Good started pushing himself onto the scene. He wasn't there, but he sent his ringers there to make sure he was talked about. And my research
being talked about is not being talked about.
Thank you, Tessa. Martinez is near Vallejo. Now, what was it? Oh, yeah. So my research for my presentation at the SSP conference in 2015 really led to the origin. It was the same research as was used for the origin book, and that led to Joseph Farrell referring me to this other particular source, which I'm not going to go into because it has to do with one of these 3 books that I'll be releasing this year.
Oh, okay.
This summer. And that book was a shocker. It was heartbreaking and depressing. And
in what way?
Because it revealed, well, and again, I'm sorry, I'm cheating here. Let me say this. I was going to write a particular book, and this was the first source I went to, and I had, it was depressing and heartbreaking, and I just had to set the book project aside. And then I decided to do a video, a YouTube video series instead. And I just couldn't, I at the time, I couldn't go any further. It was just too paradigm.
Emotionally impacting?
Yeah. And so now, finally, after a few years...
The book about Joseph, the creator of Mormonism, is finally on its way.
No, that's a comedy.
Joseph
Smith,
but
that's a tragic comedy because anyway.
A drama.
So finally, I'm at, we're at a place where, and I'm at a place where, okay, I have to write this book, and so I fully absorbed it, and it will be coming out, and it won't be a happy book to read. It kind of has very stark suggestions and hypothesis. So, but it involves material from Origin. So
interesting.
Oh, Origin and Empire of the Wheel, Friends from Sonora. Empire of the Wheel 2, Friends from Sonora. And a little bit, I think, of some stuff that's in Empire of the Wheel 3, but Origin, yeah.
As I was prepping for the show today, I was doing some free reading on Origin, and I happened to come across the passage that inspired the title, and I was like, so I'm making connections. There was that one last time you were on, I told you about that epiphany that I had where I could sort of see how the whole thing worked. That only lasted for about an hour, and then I forgot it, I'm sure. But for a minute there, man, I was like, okay, all of this is making sense. All Walter's work, Joseph Farrell's books. I mean, everything just kind of lit up, and I saw those dots that you're so good at connecting, Walter. Just like you can see the lines between them, throughout the ages.
That seems to be, I recognize that. That seems to be my strength, my forte. That's looking at a big picture of things. Now, this was, I kind of realized that about myself. And of course, Uncle Sam realized that because they put you through all sorts of psych batteries and they know your personality before you do, and on and so forth. And they make sure you're guided into positions where that's useful. And so, that's the kind of thing that's useful when you're an investigator or a military officer, managing operations and running various kinds of operations. It's being able to look at the big picture, seeing connections from the high view, and seeing where things connect. And I that's just one of my natural strengths. So it has worked with my approach to this research, this nonfiction research, and I'm pleased that that's what I contribute. I'm not the first guy by any means to write about, for example, Delshau and Nimza. That started with Dennis Crenshaw, Michael Busby.
You're not the only author to talk about it, just the best one.
Oh, thank you. But I mean, Sean Castile, Tim Schwartz, Theo Pymans, and of course Navarro, Pete Navarro, who's the guy who found the Delshau stuff cast aside in the trash pile at a junk shop, and he saved this stuff, and so we owe it all to him. But what I have contributed that is uniquely mine is showing that in the Delshau material was hidden, and I revealed it. I and Stephen Romano of the Stephen Romano Gallery, who's published excellent edition of the Delshau stuff. I revealed that the De Glocke, what we know as the Nazi bell, was actually prototype, proof of concept, being done and used in the 1850s by the Sonora Aero Club. That it was not, folks, whether you like it or not, the Nazis did not get the bell from a crashed ET saucer.
No,
okay?
In fact, it never really got much further off the ground, so to speak, than 10 feet or whatever, because it was chained to the superstructure.
Exactly. The Hanabu never existed, folks.
Nope.
The Hanabu is a fantasy product of post-war neo-Nazi survival crap, started by a guy named Ernst Zundel and then perpetuated by a couple of guys, flim-flam men, in the 80s and on and so forth. And actually, as I have demonstrated in one of my video reports on the bell, on De Glocke, on the Walter Bosley channel, if you go through the video upload ones, you'll find it. Scroll back a while, a couple of years, or last year. And I show you how much of what we're told about the bell actually appears in the Dean Koontz novel Lightning.
Right.
And what people are saying, well, this is what sources, blah, blah, blah. It came from Dean Koontz novel Lightning.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
What a hell of a writer, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, I hate to but people say, what about Rill? What about Maria Orsic? Sorry. It's neo-Nazi nonsense.
Playing. We have some wonderful parting gifts for you.
Yeah. But, Uncle Clockwork, a guy who's got his own page and someone who watches my channel, sent me a model of the Hanabu, which I have up on the shelf.
I've seen that. That's a really
and
cool
I
one.
love the model. There's been a
sure.
couple of companies that have put out there's two companies that have done highly detailed, larger models of the Hanabu that are just there. It's so cool. I love the design, but as we know, the Hanabu is one of those that's identical pretty much to the Adamski flying saucer, and the Adamski flying saucer was a Coleman lantern shroud from the 1950s.
Right.
Period.
And I don't remember, did he started that before Billy Meyer was taking photos of
Billy Meyer, riffed off of him, and it's all BS, folks. George Adamski, Billy Meyer,
couple kooks.
Mikey, what's his name? Mikey Horn, he's just
he's still shilling for Billy Meyer.
He's shilling, that's the word. Yeah. He's shilling for Billin.
He is. And I have to admit, he does a pretty good job of conveying the Billy Meyer story, at least.
Oh, he's enthusiastic about his BS. Yeah, absolutely. I was on a panel. I was at this thing called the 5D event. Myself, our good friend Brad Olson, Mikey Horn, and oh my gosh, I forgot who else. Another guy. We were on a panel, And I have to admit that I had the audience laughing. Mikey was sitting right next to me, and he
Mikey.
rued the day that he was set next to me on the same panel,
Yeah.
because I'm honest, and it was BS, and I told him, so that's what I think about.
Didn't you say something like, "Shut up, Michael"?
No, no, that was at Contact in the Desert, and I did that. I said, "Knock it off." I forget. It was the guy Danny Sheehan.
Danny Sheehan, that's right, the lawyer.
Yeah, Lou Elizondo's lawyer, and he was blah blah blah. And I said, with BS, and I said, "Knock it off, Danny." And of course,
coming from a guy that loves to hear the sound of his own voice, boy, does
and
that
I was
guy
not
love
invited.
the sound of his own voice.
I'm not going to take it personally necessarily, but I was not invited back for this current Contact in the Desert, and I noticed that from what I've seen last, the speaker list is much shorter, and they just went with the traditional luminaries, and I think that's because the 2021 one had to be online, and they didn't do one last year, so I think they're trying to notch it back so that they can reestablish it, and be able to do it
more
again.
time with the good researchers. And speaking of good researchers, I've never asked you before, what is your hot take, as it were, of Richard Dolan?
Richard Dolan. There was a time when I think he was a careful, in a good way, professional researcher coming from the historical perspective. I think in recent years he's really, unfortunately, made some bad choices and has pandered to certain things I think to stay relevant.
Yep.
Because I've heard people say that some of his more recent books that I've heard other people say, critics say, for a guy who's touted as the UFO historian guy, he doesn't offer much in the way of detail that you would expect on a lot of cases. But I was really disappointed with his push on the whole Wilson doc thing. I saw that as, everybody's got to have their shtick that they're known
That's
for.
a bone of contention for sure.
Yeah, and I think he was rolling his dice on the Wilson docs. That was going to be his thing. He was going to champion. Right. And you just got to love John Greenwald, because I think he put the stake in that vampire.
Well, not only that, but his incredible proficiency with FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act requests.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that just
is tireless.
Yeah, nail in the coffin on the Wilson docs. The Wilson docs thing is it's BS. And to see, someone that with the reputation that Richard Dolan had, that's kind of it's too bad for him, because I think it tainted his prior reputation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could sit here and talk about hucksters in the UFO community for days, but I wanted to ask you, are there examples of the Tuatha De Danann other than Hecate?
Okay, say that again.
Examples of the Tuatha De Danann other than Hecate.
Oh, you mean my suspicion that she was one of the Tuatha De Danann from the other dimension?
Yeah. Are there other?
Okay, and just in case people are wondering about the Tuatha or never heard me talk about it or us talk about it, I don't. To me, the anthropological answer is not the answer to the Tuatha De Danann mystery. Okay, that's the cop out.
What's the word for when the church glosses over a pre-existing pagan god and makes them?
They syncretize when they put a Catholic veneer over something pagan. It's called syncretize, meaning it's a syncretic. Like
syncretic. That's it.
Catherine of Alexandria is a syncretic saint because there was no Catherine of Alexandria ever. Right. She didn't exist. Church admitted it in the New Catholic Encyclopedia years ago. She's essentially Hecate.
Right.
Yes, Philip Blair, the Admiral Wilson docs, it's bullshit. But Sorry.
Bullshit.
Yeah. But others would be, for instance, the chthonic. Here's why I think Hecate. She's a chthonic goddess. What does that mean? It means so far back that the origin can't really be definitively traced to any um, traced by or to, but especially by any known human culture.
Hmm.
Okay, that there's mystery in the origin. In other words, she's among the chthonics are the ones who predated all cultures. That
Right.
they kind of were already there, and she is one of those. And that, upon my analysis, qualifies her to be among the mysterious Tuata de Danann.
But no other
Yeah.
Tuata come to mind.
I haven't yet specifically, in my view, identified. Um, maybe Athena, Pallas Athena, could be
Hmm.
among them.
Hmm.
Look at your Hellenistic, your Greek pantheon. Look at your Hindu pantheon. Look at the various pantheons. Look for the ones that are chthonic in their nature. Now, keeping in mind that pantheons overlap, that
Right.
your gods and goddesses of the Greek, of the Hellenistic
Became the Roman.
pantheon
Yeah.
are well, we know they became the identify. The Romans just slapped their own names on them. But some of the Hindu gods and goddesses are the same as Hellenistic gods and goddesses,
Hmm.
and around the world it goes the same thing. So some of them are going to be, but I haven't taken the time yet. I mean, there's aspects of the Dagda, um, one of the identified Tuata, who is kind of similar to Odin,
Hmm.
but yet he's not really Odin. You just you have to kind of look and get the clues yourself, because you see where they have the certain things in common.
And by the way, have you ever seen the New Zealand TV show, The Almighty Johnsons?
No,
You would love it.
I will have
Three
to check this
seasons.
out.
It was the first, I believe, the first original content that whichever New Zealand TV station or network
Okay.
put it on. But it's, I'll give you the elevator pitch. Um, when the old Norse gods stopped being, worshipped because so many of them had converted to Christianity,
Hmm.
uh, they decided that they needed to hide because there were forces that were out to get them, and so it
Hmm.
centers on these four brothers, and it's the youngest brother's 21st birthday is where the pilot starts out,
Hmm.
and after they've all gotten good and knackered. Um, they go out to the forest and do this ritual, and then they find out which god the younger kid is. He turns out to be Odin, and basically these humans are living shells or embodiments of these great Norse gods, but they have to they have to find the Frigg to complete the
Okay.
so they can go back to being their very powerful godlike
That
selves.
sounds cool. That sounds like it's fun.
It is a great show. It's a very sexy show. If
I
if
like
you're a
that.
if you're a toxic male, you'll probably enjoy it. Um, but
Very good.
one of the brothers is the god of games and luck,
Hmm.
and doesn't want to use his powers, except in certain situations. Uh, and they're trying to keep everything on the DL, but then there's this other side, like I said, that is knows where they are and who they are, and it's
Yeah,
just an amazing show. I can't speak highly enough of it. If
I've
you
got to
ever get a
check that
chance,
out.
yeah, if you ever get a
I've got to
chance, you
check that
should.
out.
It's 3 seasons, and it's some of the best. I mean, it's camp. They took it seriously, but they shot it as camp, and it's just a lot of fun, very funny, a lot of good, intellectual jokes, and like I said, lots of boobages.
There you
So if
go.
you're that kind
There
of a
you go.
guy,
There you go. That sounds very intriguing. I'm gonna have to check that out.
yeah, the Almighty Johnsons.
I'm kind of developing a potential series of books, serial, pulp type stuff,
Mhm.
and it's kind of
Got him on
a
my
hard hard
nightstand.
boiled hard boiled grizzled detective type of genre, but
Hmm,
he's a paranormal detective, a
sure.
detective of the paranormal, and I'm going to call it Dick Shadows.
Okay, so you're just kidding.
No, you don't understand. I there will at least be a short story, a Dick Shadow short story, and I could even do a series. I'm not kidding at all about
Dick
my
Shadows.
two pieces of fan fiction novels that I have started that I will release, and of course they'll be for free because I do not own the rights. I will
Hmm.
release these for free. I don't own the rights, but I am doing a Dark Shadows novel, and I'm doing an Indiana Jones novel. And I started
Hmm.
these. I started the Indiana Jones novel in 2017, and I
Wow.
started the Dark Shadows novel in I want to say 2019. So, and I have a chapter of the Dark Shadows novel at the
I
Lost
didn't know
Content
they made a
Library
novel.
Facebook page. At the Lost Continent Library Facebook page. If you go to the
Hmm.
Lost Continent Library Facebook page in the files, you will be able to download the first chapter of my Dark Shadows novel.
Oh, very nice.
Features Barnabas and Quentin on an adventure.
Like President Clinton?
Barnabas and Quentin.
Oh, Quentin. Sorry, I
Quentin
heard
Collins.
Clinton. Yeah, Dark Shadows at its best was an amazing show.
Yes, indeed.
But the rigors of having to learn lines daily for the next show. I mean,
Well, and Frid suffered a degree of dyslexia or something similar to that,
hmm.
and so it was phenomenal that he was able to. But he was a theater hand for over 20 years, even when he started that show.
And just the best actor possibly to be cast as
Yeah,
Barnabas. I
yeah.
mean,
It's like Shatner and Kirk,
mhm.
James Spader and Red Reddington, Matthew McConaughey and Russ Cole, on and so forth. Nobody can really pull. You know what? They're never going to be able to do Barnabas right. You know what? Unless they find an actor who greatly resembles Jonathan Frid
Well, they could
and
do a
can
deep fake thing,
and come near his style. And there you go. Okay, some years back, if you remember, some of the early deep fake they did was the John Wayne beer commercial. Remember that, where
No, but
they
I've
did,
heard of it.
yeah, and it was terrible compared to, of course, what they can do now. I've long been an advocate, particularly since Sky Captain, the movie Sky Captain, which some people like, it was boring. I don't like it. Sky Captain,
Sky
I
Captain was
said
brilliant.
yeah, I said in 2005, I said to people, mock that movie all you want, but that is the most important movie that's come out in a long time because you're going to see that every movie is going to be made this way. And you know what? It turned out to be true. It turned out to be true because everything's done in front of the screens and stuff now. But here's the thing: some people get all weird and sanctimonious about there shouldn't be a new movie with Humphrey Bogart and Clark Gable and whoever,
Mhm.
blah blah blah, because their estates and this BS. I'll tell you,
Right.
I'd rather watch a new movie starring Humphrey Bogart and Cary Grant and Rita Hayworth than
Lauren
than
Bacall.
the current stars. And
Yeah.
I'm all for this. I'm all for new movies with the old stars. I think
Well,
that'd be a lot of fun.
it's like Mark Hamill
And I'm yelling.
sold his likeness to Disney so that they could do whatever they want, and he's actually voice acted a younger Luke Skywalker, like in
Cool.
have you paid attention to the Mandalorian at all?
A little bit. I saw the episode where Luke made his triumphant
Yeah,
appearance,
the
and that
rescue.
was that was a pretty cool scene. That was just like, who doesn't remember? Yeah, this isn't going back decades, but remember the first time you watched Rogue One?
Oh, sure.
That's all I need to say. Was
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my, and it delivered. I'm getting goosebumps because it delivered. That was
It's certainly the best of the Disney Lucasfilm movies.
that was a perfect depiction of really how menacing Vader needs to be, because that was just a work of friggin' art. That scene, I won't ruin it if you haven't seen Rogue One still, but go see it.
It's only been out for 7 years.
I've seen that already, that photo of Frid and Katharine Hepburn. Yeah, it has only been out 7 years. So, yeah.
And the uh, a YouTuber, I don't remember his name, when they had done that deep fake of Luke where he didn't really move very much. It was
Right.
kind of either sloppily done or they didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
But I've been watching the deep fakes of this guy, Miles. I forget his last name, but he not only looks a great deal like Tom Cruise, he's been working with this Belgian guy that lives in Thailand, and
Yeah.
they're deep faking, different eras of Tom Cruise's career. They can make him look young or old or whatever, and
Oh,
it
that's
is
cool.
the best deep fake I have ever fucking seen.
See, I of course, nobody likes a misuse of it.
Right.
And call me a prude. Some people will, but doing this thing they're doing with taking people, women, and putting their faces in porn movies. That's, come on, guys. That
I wouldn't know, I'm sure, but
I'm not talking. I'm talking about it's bad enough they do it with celebrities and stuff, but celebrities kind of have to expect, But I'm
Sure.
talking about, this is being done with just regular old, non-famous people, and that ain't cool. There's always some bad thing that can be done with technology, but on the good side of it, I would really love to see. And you know what? The estates, the families of these old timey actors, I think most of them would go for it if offered, because it would be good for the estate if it was a respectful thing. I mean, imagine John Huston wanted to do The Man Who Would Be King with Clark Gable and Humphrey Bogart. So imagine a remake, a black and white remake of that movie with Gable and Bogey.
Yeah.
I just think that would be cool. Imagine, a 50s, early 50s, say 1954 James Bond movie with Cary Grant in the role.
Except he's not British.
Yeah, he is.
He is?
Cary Grant was born in England. Oh, yes, he was.
Oh, I was referring to the other one. Didn't make that leap because I'm trying.
Oh, you mean The Man Who Would Be King? Yeah, because Gable's not British. Yeah, Gable, but John Huston, he wanted to make The Man Who Would Be King for 20 years and wanted to make it initially with Gable and Bogey. Never got around to doing it.
Ended up with Sean Connery.
And oh my God, he ended up with Connery and Michael Caine. And you know what? There's a pair. Why in the hell did they never do a movie again?
Yeah.
Did either one of them ever give a real answer on that?
Maybe because John Huston died earlier than he should have. But
no, but why didn't any other director bring back Connery and Michael Caine?
Well, it's no mean feat. I mean, you have to own Lucasfilm to be able to do that kind of thing. But
no. I mean back in the 70s after they did it. Back in the intervening years, why didn't I got to wonder why didn't Sean Connery and Michael Caine ever do another? I think they were in the same movie, one of those World War II things, but not together. Anyway,
Michael Caine
missed opportunity
now because he's old and grizzled. He sort of talks more like
missed
Michael
opportunity.
Caine.
Speaking of Michael Caine, one of my favorite movies, of course, is Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. For you youngins who have never seen
Love
Dirty
that
Rotten
movie.
Scoundrels, please watch that. But you know, maybe we'll get a
Philip
movie.
Blair says, yes, yes, yes. Cary Grant as James Bond, all
Thank
in
you,
caps,
Philip.
by the way.
Thank you, Philip. Absolutely.
You don't have to shout. You don't have to shout.
Who's shouting? Me?
No, Philip
Oh,
Blair.
with the all
All
caps. I have a
caps is
tendency to
considered
get
shouting.
excited. But you know, I'm looking forward to maybe one day we'll have a secret space program movie.
Oh, gosh, I thought there already was one.
No.
Are you
Well,
sure?
I'm sure there's anytime. Well, wait a minute. Anytime, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but you know what I mean. One that's based on the research of our friend Joseph Farrell and Dr. Paul Laviolette and Catherine Austin Fitz and
Right.
on and so forth. The last real SSP researchers, but now it's a mood issue because with Space Force, all of anything SSP, legitimate real SSP that the United States has been doing, in my opinion, has just likely been folded into the archives of Space Force and labeled classified ops. You know,
Right.
so there we go. There we go.
And, you know, I think there's a lot to be said for the idea of a secret space program. We know that there's certain aspects of a secret space program, like the Air Force has their own space shuttle, which can stay aloft for like months at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of smaller, but I think it's just a drone.
Well, we're told it's a drone, but remember, like I've always told people, and I admonish people that say, "Well, my uncle Ted is a master sergeant, and he's at Vandenberg Air Force Base, and he's a security forces, and he says no way to what you're saying." Well, you know, your uncle Ted, you know, Master Sergeant Snuffy can,
Didn't
you
have a
know,
need to know.
exactly doesn't have a need to know, so he can go piss up a rope. You
He
know,
wasn't in a
said
compartmentalized special access
because
program.
they can tell you that shuttle's a drone, but you don't necessarily know what's in the payload. And I think
Right.
that's how they've been doing it. I think Vandenberg, these rockets, I
Mhm.
think there's been all sorts of those sent up with people on board, with personnel, operational personnel on classified missions, and you know they don't have to tell you, folks.
You
It's
know, it's
classified.
interesting. When I was watching your show with Dr. Farrell,
Hmm.
uh, it occurred to me that the people that are in charge of, you know, the real space program, not
Yeah.
NASA, never a straight answer, but you know, whatever governing body. I
Hmm.
mean, they came up with the Space Force pretty recently, so I'm not really sure that constitutes a secret space program. But they made all kinds of classified launches. I mean, they still do.
Sure. Oh,
You
sure,
know, they'll
sure.
say it's a satellite or whatever when it's something else. And that brings me to another question that I had for you.
Hmm.
I haven't ever heard you discuss HARP.
I haven't really. I don't find harp to be in itself so fascinating that I've dedicated, you know, any real time to it. I do think there's. I do not think that it's limited by what little we're told about it. Hell no. I think harp is. They're definitely doing something a lot more interesting than we are told with
Yeah.
harp. But you know,
Well,
it's
the thing that really did it for me is when Gary McKinnon, uh, and he didn't hack or break into anything. They just
mhm.
had a bunch of new computers at NASA that they hadn't put a password on yet. So it was just like enter. And so that's no great hack. If anything, he should be, you know, regarded as a hero for showing, you know, the horrible security that was involved at NASA on their computers. But I'll always remember what he talked about, seeing a document that referred to non-terrestrial officers. And I always
Mhm.
wondered if that meant, you know, a list of officers that worked in space
That's what I think
or
it meant.
were extraterrestrial or, you know, whatever.
I think if
Uh,
anything, the most that the potential of that have means military personnel who work off planet.
right.
I really think that that's what my biggest suspicion.
Whether that's on the moon or Mars or whatever.
Yeah,
You,
I don't see U.S. military records or database having anything that would. I don't see us recording that data on any personnel that would come from other worlds at all, just for for that very reason. Stuff can be
Yeah.
hacked, stuff can be stolen. That they would be covered under whatever program that the world they're from has, and it would be just.
Well, don't forget in Ingo Swann's book Penetration, he
Mhm.
talked about being given coordinates, and when he did so, one of the things that he saw was uh, aliens and humans.
Yeah.
The humans, of course, were naked,
Yeah.
but that's just the kind of guy Ingo Swann was.
Yeah, he was into some kinky stuff, I hear.
He was, but also a sweetheart of a guy.
Oh yeah, they say he was a nice guy, but it makes it interesting choice. I don't know if I'd call my book Penetration, but go on.
Right. But it had a double entendre, if you will.
Double entendre.
But the stuff that he described was
that was on the moon, right? The naked humans.
Yes. Yeah. And they were working alongside Greys or aliens, and then famously he was tasked to do this different set of coordinates, which was 1 million years ago on Mars. And he said that I saw really tall humanoid creatures. They weren't human, but they were humanoid, and they were very tall and lithe. And then he saw that one of them looked up at like his camera view,
right? Yeah,
and he could tell that they could see him. And he told his handler, "They can see me." And his handler said, "Get out now!
Yeah.
Just get out!"
Yeah.
So
isn't that
I'm not
interesting?
sure why that would have been of such importance.
It was his handler, one of the military personnel, I wonder.
Yeah, it was one of the guys from the First Earth Battalion. The men who stare at goats.
Yeah.
So,
well, think about what you just said and what Ingo Swann, reported on that seeing across time stuff, and now think of the discussion of transtemporal cosmic warfare.
Right.
Kind of makes you wonder how much they know about. Maybe he was seeing the civilization that had sent blasts to our planet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe think of this scenario. Ingo Swann is seen by this Martian from millions of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that prompted the blast that bouncing around through time hits Tunguska in 1908.
It's possible. I mean, when you're talking about transtemporal warfare, anything's possible. I wanted to mention that I Will See You in Time has quickly become my favorite of your fiction books.
I'm very proud of that novel.
I thought I was a pretty good writer, but it turns out I just turn a good phrase. You,
my
friend, are a writer.
That was luck. Thank you. And it's presently being even more properly edited for a re-release. So
excellent.
That book will be out again soon.
And I also wanted to ask you, can you tell us everything from the germ of the idea into the book itself and why you wrote it?
Yes, I can. That book was written simultaneously with the first Empire of the Wheel book. It was written in 2010. The plot includes the Empire of the Wheel case, the 1915 specifics, the people. Now, the version you have, the names are changed because when I sold the rights to the producer for Empire of the Wheel, it was going to just complicate things. I wanted to retain that as an independent potential media project and property. So what I did was I went in and I changed the character names that are reflective of Empire of the Wheel. For instance, the character Nora or whatever her name is, Stansfield.
So are you saying that this one is out of date?
Do you have the one where the character's named Cora Stanton?
No, I think it's At a Place.
No. What you got to understand is that book was written before I made the Oediplace Discovery.
Oh,
So you should have a character
I could have
named
sworn At a
Nora
Place the
Stansfield.
other day.
Nora Stansfield is really Cora Stanton. If you've
Nora,
read the
yeah, it says, I suspect
Yeah.
that he was watching Nora. So
Yeah. So I changed the certain key names, but I used the Empire of the Wheel stuff for part of the plot. I also it's reflective of my research that led to Secret Missions 1, the Juan Cabrillo book. So what that was is I took some things I had been investigating that suggested a connection through time. Okay? You got to remember, I was investigating the Juan Cabrillo stuff and the Empire of the Wheel stuff were all coming to me at the same time. I was, discovering these things. I was finding these things
I've heard you say came to me rather than researched.
because what happened was in April of, okay, I'm going to tell you a personal story here.
Sure.
In April of 2007, I had reached a point where things sucked
Mhm.
for me.
Yeah.
I had hit a brick wall and a dead end. I couldn't make anything work, and I was done. I'd had enough.
You were totally depressed.
Yes, I don't get depressed. I get pissed off, like
Right.
Odysseus. So
Yeah.
I had, I remember telling
Odysseus. Me and Odysseus were like that.
exactly. So I had one of my Odyssean moments, and one Saturday night, I said to God, I'm like, you know what? I've had enough of this crap. Your freaking creation. This is a fixed game. This is bullshit. We're not told the full story about you and how this works. And you know what? If you're not going to give me a fighting chance, then take me. And I told God, I said, you take me because I'm not going to give you the satisfaction, you SOB, of taking myself out. You take me, you bastard. I don't want to wake up in the morning. I said that. Ho! How many have said that? So what happens? I fall asleep. I wake up the next morning. I'm still here. But
Right.
Here's what's weird. Within less than an hour, I get a phone call from a complete stranger. The stranger says, hi, my name's so-and-so, and a buddy of mine heard you on a radio show, and he said I should call you. We had a conversation for over 3 hours. He had been in naval intelligence, this, that, and the other. And towards the end of the conversation, he goes, I think you'd be he goes, have you ever heard of remote viewing? And I'm like, yeah. In fact, I heard about it in 1986, but that's another story. Go on.
Is it you or somebody else I'm thinking of that investigated the protocols
What do you mean investigated the protocols?
of remote viewing?
Well, here's what happened. Let me go back to this. He said, I want to teach you how to do remote viewing. I think you'd be good at this. So he sent me the program that he was going to train me on. And what happened was I had a bunch of stuff going on in my life, not the least of which was my father was assaulted. He eventually died about a year later as a result of that assault. And the asshole who did it, by the way, is getting out of prison this summer. But
oh, yeah.
I digress. So finally, I started doing remote viewing according to the method in September of 2007, and I was shocked with the results. And I tested it on the 3 most skeptical of me and my stuff in my life, and each one of them were stunned. I let them pick the targets and everything, and they were stunned. They said, how did you do that? It freaked them out. So I started doing remote viewing every day, multiple sessions a day. Long story short on that is the whole Juan Cabrillo research, the Empire of the Wheel stuff, all came to me initially through remote viewing.
Oh,
okay?
I see.
And
So
then
you
I
still have to
started
go out
pulling
there and
threads.
find
Now,
it.
here's what happened regarding the protocols. It was the 12 steps, not to be confused with AA, but there happened to be 12 steps in what you're supposed to do. And the guy who trained me, we had a bit of a falling out for a month because he was saying, you're not carrying through right all the steps. And I said, well, quite frankly, after step 4, it's all superfluous and
I
useless.
didn't need it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. He goes, no, that's impossible. They're all necessary. And I said, well, I disagree. And he goes, and he said the words. He goes, you can't possibly know more than the teacher. And I'm like, oops, that's the first mistake,
Bullshit.
you know. So
Yeah.
I said, I disagree. Well,
A
here's the funny thing.
hubris.
Yeah, about a month or so later, he calls, hey Walter, hey, how's it going, you know, whatever. And he says, by the way, I talked to the guy who designed the method that I'm training on. I go, yeah. And he goes,
Turns
he
out you're
told me,
right.
yeah, he says he told me independently, you know, he didn't know our conversation. He said, hey, you know what, Jeff, I've determined that after step 4 it's all unnecessary. So
So
so the
you're
guy had gave him newfound respect. And what happened was I quit, sorry about that, I quit doing it because as Seshari puts it, it was no longer, hey Walter, can you find my keys, or hey Walter, can you do. What
right.
happened was I was getting data that I thought meant nothing to me, and Seshari thinks that I was remote viewing on the archetypal level
Hmm. Without even trying.
without even trying. And I just kind of I stopped doing it. Um, and
But you got higher than even chance results.
There. Let me tell you something about remote viewing. There is something to it.
Oh
Now
yeah.
there are potential dangers to it. You are opening yourself to potentially bad, destructive influences.
Walk-ins.
You have to be careful. You got to be careful with how you do it and what you're doing and such. But
Very true.
when people say there's nothing to it, I just write those people off as, oh, those are materialists. I tell them, you know what? Go have a beer and watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know,
Veg out.
there's no point in having this conversation with
Become a couch potato. You
a
heathen.
materialist skeptic. I
Yeah,
usually tell them, hey, young man, go take another logic course in college, so you can impress everybody with your your debate skills. Because my point is, because I'm sorry, it's demonstrated itself to me that the shit's real.
Well, yeah.
Remote
And I
viewing is
mean,
real.
there are so many people today that are into remote viewing that may never have taken a class. They just read a book or knew somebody
Exactly.
that knew the protocols. And there are some very powerful, I won't call them powerful psychics, but there are some very powerful remote viewers out there.
There's some legit ones. There's a lot of BS artists.
Sure. So we're kind of coming to the end of the show.
Oh,
So I'm going to do
may
some.
I interject one thing?
Mhm.
When I say the Empire of the Wheel thing came to me through remote viewing, what came to me between September and January was stuff relative to Hecate, was a lot of, the symbolism, the archetypal, the weird stuff. But I learned about the mysterious Cora Stanton from oh my gosh, Ann Walker.
You showed me her grave.
Well, yeah, but a woman named Ann Walker, Ann Toth Walker, who is a librarian here in the IE, and she is the one who I learned about the Cora Stanton mystery, which matched and resonated so well with what I was remote viewing, and opened up the Empire of the Wheel mystery. And I talk about her. Her name's in my dedications list on my Empire of the Wheel books and stuff.
Mhm.
But I mean, I owe a lot to Ann for being the one to point me to specifically Cora Stanton.
So I want to go in kind of rapid fire mode here.
Sure.
Because I have some other questions and we
Gotcha.
need to get them in. What's new with the TV shows and your new film Kaleidoscope Grimoire?
TV shows tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Funny you'd ask that. I'm having a phone meeting with my producer, Melissa Tittle,
Mm-hmm.
who, by the way, has produced a film called The Code, which is winning awards at various festivals. Look up The Code, and I'm in that film, so I'm in the trailer. But I'm having a meeting with Melissa to hear the latest from the network that is developing a documentary series.
Is that Discovery Plus?
I can't. I'm not
Oh,
at liberty to say.
yeah, you'd have to kill me. Sorry.
I will say it's not Discovery Plus, but
Okay.
they are developing a documentary series that is spun off of my Empire of the Whale research, and I'm getting an update tomorrow.
Cool. Did you ever find the one document that they wanted?
Oh yeah. Oh, one document. I found
Didn't they
multiple.
want like one document just
They
to
wanted one, and
show proof of concept?
I found more than one.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's cool.
It's a doozy. It's a doozy. So on Kaleidoscope Grimoire, I remind people, remember, folks, the great and glorious B- movie Equinox took, I think, 5 years for them to complete
It
that.
had Fritz Lieber in it.
Fritz Lieber, Phil Tippett did the animation, and the Lucasfilm guy is the director of it, right? And even Ed Begley Jr. was a crew hand on it. Anyway, I digress. Kaleidoscope Grimoire is moving forward. You guys have seen the animation dolls, and I did the green screen program test. So that has allowed me now to advance to the stage here real soon where I'm going to start creating the first of the miniature sets, and I'll be back behind the camera on Kaleidoscope Grimoire, starting the slow process of the stop motion animation, which is most of the film.
And back to our rapid fire format here. How is your new radio show going? Likes, dislikes?
My new radio show.
Yeah.
It's
on the Independent Broadcast Network, right?
Independent Broadcast Network at independentbroadcasting.com. It's
What's
going
your
okay.
session?
We've had some technical glitches because there's been some platform issue, but mechanical stuff. So some of the episodes, what I'm doing presently are pre-recording the episodes. But what I like about doing that show is I do pretty much 90% of it is new material. It's not stuff I talk about at the Walter it's not just a repeat of shows I've done on the Walter Bosley channel, although the last episode was a bunch of Walter Bosley reads stuff, episodes put together. But go over there. It's Spreaker.com. People can hear the past episodes where I get on and just talk for 3 hours. I just go, wind me up and go.
And by the way, the Cardinal Sin channel has an operational RSS feed. So you can listen to all of your favorite Cardinal Sin shows. I believe it's called Cardinal Sin Shows.
Cool.
But I have to double check with my lady webmaster. What are some of the main takeaways you hope people get when reading Secret Missions 2, The Lost Expedition of Sir Richard Francis Burton?
That it gives you the true background of the Colonel Fawcett mystery. That book is pretty straightforward. The premises, the thing that's the takeaway that I want from the book is that there were, some historical figures were actually indeed operating with an ulterior mission and an ulterior objective.
Right.
And, that there are secrets in the world that have been, kept secret from us. I'm doing a terrible time answering that question. I guess that's a good question because it stumped me.
Well, that wasn't my intent, but I was also going to ask you the same question. What are the main takeaways you hope people get when reading the Sir Richard Francis Burton book?
You're holding up Origin.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, I thought that was wait a minute. Did you intend to hold up Origin the first time? Because you held up Burton.
The first question was about the Secret Missions 2, but I also wanted to ask you the same question about Origin.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Takeaways you hope people get when reading Origin.
Origin, okay, because I can answer the Origin one. That the history of UFOs in the 20th century may not be what, may not be the ET answer. That there's
Mhm.
more to history than some people want you to know or want to tell you, and that the history of the 20th century itself may not be all that we popularly know and
Have you by
believe.
any chance listened to the audiobook or seen the movie um, by Oliver Stone? I think it's called The Secret History of the United States.
I think I've seen pieces of that.
It's
I
really
got to watch
interesting.
the whole thing. Yeah,
It's really
yeah,
interesting, especially, you know, uh, with what you just said, that our history is becoming more and more obscured by people that don't
yeah.
want us to know our history. And
Right.
that kind of reaches really far deep into the work of people like Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson, stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yeah. I enjoy. People were telling me for a few years that I needed to check out Randall Carlson's work, and I started to. And I see why, because his stuff is really solid. I think.
The appearances that they've both had, um, Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Hmm.
I mean, they go for hours and talk about this stuff, and I'm just like glued to the screen.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, we did get started a little bit late, so we're still within
That works for me.
our questioning segment. A question I've never asked you, and I've always meant to. Who are some of the authors you'd say were an influence on your writing?
Oh, that's easy. Um, Ray Bradbury, John Irving, big time. Um, oh boy, those are the early Stephen King. And what I mean by early Stephen King, honestly, after the publication, after Christine, I pretty much he lost me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like the early. That's good, Ari. I like the early Stephen King, but Ray Bradbury, definitely Ray Bradbury and John Irving were the first two biggest influences on me. You could throw in some Edgar Rice Burroughs too,
Hmm.
but yeah, Bradbury and I gotta say Bradbury and Irving.
My dad used to read me "Have Spacesuit Will Travel" as bedtime
Oh,
stories.
Heinlein, yeah, yeah, he
Yeah.
was a master, one of the top three.
Um, and before we get started with the wheel and all that good stuff, where can we find out more about you and your work and your radio show?
Well, always I'm at, as you know, I'm at the Walter Bosley channel at YouTube. There's also, and it's evolving. We're bringing it up to speed. LostContinentLibrary.com, and from there you can get links to the books that my company publishes, and also WalterBosley.com, which is going to really be bigger here in the coming months. The radio show, the weekly radio show, Friday nights from 6 to 9 p.m. PST, is at independentbroadcasting.com. And Spreaker.com is where you can find the past episodes. And I'm trying. I think that's. I have links to my blogs, the old blogs, empireofthewheel.blogspot.com. So
Mm-hmm.
you look for me there. You can find me. Pretty much. Get enough of
And
me.
you have a Facebook group, yeah?
I have a Facebook group, Lost Content Library, Facebook group. I have an Instagram page, both under Walter Bosley and Lost Content Library. Also, my books are print on demand at lulu.com, lulu.com. They are not the publisher. I'm the publisher. 20 years in business, Lost Content
They're
Library.
just a distributor.
They're a printer and distributor. That's all they are. But you can get the books there. Also, my catalog is starting to appear. I'm starting to get them out on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. However, I want to say this. If you want the authors, that includes me, but if you want my authors to make a full royalty, go to lulu.com, because when you go to Amazon, you're going to get a cheaper price than anyone selling used copies of my books. Number one, less expensive. Number two, it's going to be brand new, but they have to order it from Lulu also. It's
Right.
it's Amazon.
It's the same wait time.
Yeah, it's Lulu via Amazon. So,
Yeah.
the creator, the writers make more money if you go straight to lulu.com, lulu.com.
This is the first time I've been to walterbosley.com. I don't think I was aware of it,
Ah,
but it's a good looking site.
yeah, thank
Who's
you.
that-
That's
who's that handsome guy right there?
my amazing producer, Malia Grimm,
Malia.
is Malia Grimm.
I met a girl called Malia.
Yeah.
I really did. I really did.
She has, let me tell you something, she has greatly single-handedly just really advanced my whole presentation way beyond where it was.
Yeah.
And it's, so she's an amazing producer, and she has her own show at independentbroadcasting.com as well. It's on
For
Sunday
the Grim
nights.
Crime Scene Investigation.
Yeah, GSI Crime Scene Investigations. She also, releases episodes at Walter Bosley channel.
Mhm.
Check,
She
but
should
check her
have
show
her
out.
own channel, baby. Come on.
Yeah,
really.
well, that's what I've been saying. So, Malia's out there. She does paranormal investigations,
Mhm.
and I go out in the field with her now. So it's cool.
So my dutiful mods have put in links to the show, the radio show, and your books
Thank you. I appreciate that.
and
Both
your
of you,
podcast.
Darius, and Into Derivative Jill. Thank you very much.
Yes, the best mods on YouTube, frankly. And is that the extent of what you think we should know about your radio show?
Yeah, I think go check it out, and it's different. I'm labeled as a cult investigator, but that's not all I talk about. I just go. It's very much
Did you
just
say
a
a
stream
cult
of
or
consciousness.
Occult?
Yeah, occult investigator, but it's a stream of consciousness show. So I'm bound to just talk
So
about
sort of
anything.
Walter thinks, Walter's thoughts.
Walter
Something like
talks. Walter runs his mouth.
Well, I wish you all great success in that.
Thank you.
Both of you. So I think at this point we're going to go ahead and bring on Anti-Derivative Jill. She's going to help us with the wheel. There she is. Hi, Jill.
Oh, hey. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
And by the way, please subscribe to Anti-Derivative Jill's YouTube channel. It's fun. It's amazing. It's in depth. She's criminally undersubscribed, so please do yourself a favor, subscribe to Anti-Derivative Jill's YouTube channel.
Thank you so much for saying that. I like to talk about science fiction.
I wouldn't say
Star
it
Trek.
weren't true.
And I have covered Forbidden Planet, as you have back there.
Yeah.
On that poster.
And I think Scotty R37 is an international treasure.
Absolutely
I really
agreed. I think we make a good team, and I think we're fun to listen to.
I'm looking forward to getting the Blake 7 watch party thing going again. So
yeah, that sounds awesome.
And I see you have a wheel with you.
I do.
Oh,
I brought a wheel.
More names than usual now.
Nice.
Rather than be accused of putting the scale slightly heavier on with the mods show up to every show, and I tell them they're as welcome to enter the giveaways as anybody else. So it really does pay to wait to the end of the show and get yourself on that wheel. And Canadian Spider-Man has just dropped Jill's YouTube link in there for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Canadian Spider-Man, and thank you to Ari and PJ Bear for subscribing. But I think Cam's been subscribed for a while.
Yeah, Cam's awesome, and I hope that he is on the road to recovery. Okay, what do you think? Should we go ahead and give this thing a spin? Now, we're doing 2 giveaways, right, Walter?
I thought just one.
We've got a T-shirt and then another T-shirt.
Well, no, what we've got is, remember, you wanted me to remind you, what I've got is, depending upon who wins, when they tell me the size, that will determine which shirt they get.
Oh, okay. So it's just one shirt.
It was just one shirt. And before we start, real quick, I had to order a shirt for the last shirt winner, and I need to get that to that winner. So if you could remember who I owe somebody a shirt. Right. And so I have it now, and I want to make sure I get that.
You might check your email because
oh, good. That's right. The name will be in there. Thank you.
I almost immediately send you or my guests the information as soon as I get it. So
okay, so whoever you are, if you're saying that darn Bosley, Johnny Side has waited forever for a book that I've owed him, and finally I got that one on the way. But yeah, so I'll look in the email. So let me show you the shirt designs. You wanted me to refresh everyone's memory, depending upon who the size it's going to be. It's going to be this design, the
Hell's Bells.
Iconic image from Hell's Bells, or it's going to be.
And I have to tell you, by the way, that's a very comfortable shirt.
It is that
shirt all the time.
Yeah, this of course is the Demon Mask, also known as Hoots, our little mascot Hoots. This is also an image from Hell's Bells.
Are those sold on like your merch channel or anything?
We're going to be releasing them, and then here of course is the Kaleidoscope Grimoire shirt.
Another comfortable shirt.
These are actually, they turned out to be pretty good. So anyway, go ahead and spin, and that,
All right. We're going to do it. All right, Jill, you know how much I hate seeing my head spin around back and forth like The Exorcist, but I do not see the wheel. I need you to reshare the wheel. Oh, and thank you, PS2 Shipper, for becoming a new member. Appreciate that.
Hooray.
There we go. All right. Engage.
Oh, just a moment.
I don't think you have a size and a resize. He wears a 3XL.
A 3XL.
He's
Let me get my glasses on.
Beefy man.
Tall, beefy man, yes. Okay, let me see. Oh, that's a 1XL. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I've got a 2 in the...
Won't fit in.
Won't? Okay,
no.
Okay.
He wears a 3XL.
Okay.
Oh, there's some news in the chat about this.
Okay.
Ari claims, or I'm sure he's telling the truth.
Oh, he said he wears a 2XL. I'm on a diet. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, how about a beautiful Hell's Bells Evil Twin shirt?
Congratulations on the t-shirt and
bro.
that it fits.
Let me get it over here. It was the first one.
Enough weight to change a shirt size is really good.
Yes, congratulations. That's good because I know, believe me, I struggle, with that too. So there we go.
And of course, I have all of his information, being is that he's my brother. So I'll get that to you right after the show.
So okay, cool. And I will have that set aside, and I will go through the emails. So whoever it is out there that I owe the shirt to, hey, it's going to be on its way very soon here.
Lots of congratulations and everything. And Jill, I just wanted to thank you again for being our creator of the spinning wheel of Cardinal Sin, and for bringing it on and help us give away a t-shirt.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be able to help, and I'll let you guys finish out the show. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
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 She's such a sweetheart.
She does a great job for you.
A lot of people don't know that I hired her to be a mod before Doomcock hired her to be a mod. Well, didn't hire her, but made her a mod. So I guess I had an intuition or something. But
you can spot talent. That's what it is. And I want to say before I forget, you and I are going to figure out a date, but it's time for me to have you on the Walter Bosley channel. And we're going to be a dedicated one of the midweek episodes that people really love. My midweek episodes, but whether it'll be a Sunday or a midweek, I'll figure it out. But I want to have you on so we can just really talk all our stuff, which will include pop culture, films, model making, just all the cool stuff.
It'd be a little film school 101.
Could be all of that. So that that's happening. Let's make that happen in the next, say, 30 days.
I'm game, man. Whenever you're ready, you just give me a couple of days.
And that won't be it's not going to be a first and last time either. That's just the first of regular visits. That
I'm glad to hear it.
So, right, we gotta get you over there too. So cool.
And Ari says last night's show was epic, Walter.
Thank you, and I thank the audience for really showing up in huge numbers. I mean, 24 hours later, we have 2,500 views.
Wow!
And for my show, that's and hey, the guest Joseph Farrell, he brings them in. He hauls them in. So
that's one of the reasons why I wanted so desperately to have him on the show.
We'll get him on. We'll get him on. I will go to phase 2 of nagging him.
Of the kvetching.
Yes.
I've been reading his books pretty much since they came out. I didn't read the original versions of the Giza Death Star books, but just about everything else until recently, all the Nazi International and SS Brotherhood of the Bell and all that kind of stuff. And I find it really interesting the ways in which your research and his both sort of compare and contrast.
Well, he naturally, we've known each other since 2004. And we've, discussed, bounced ideas off each other. Of course, I've learned, a lot from him. He has an appreciation for what I do, so he's definitely an influence, and a source of things. I take some criticism from trolls for that, but you know how I feel about trolls. Go have a beer and watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you're slightly nicer to them than I am.
But I'll tell you one way. Here's a strategy where we could probably get him to respond more quickly, and we can get him on here. Take one of his books that maybe you don't hear him talking about a lot on shows, and that could entice him, to talk about one of his lesser discussed books.
That's a great idea.
And you would have a unique episode because it wouldn't be Joseph Farrell talking about, what he's talking about on anyone else's show. So
right.
There's
It'd be an exclusive, as it were.
Yes.
All right. Well, Walter, I do want to thank you again for coming on. As I mentioned, I've had some cancellations and I've been under the weather. So
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. This is, I think, the third show in 2 months that I've done something like that.
Okay.
But we will carry on. Next week, Albert Rosales will be on with his final book, UFOs Over Florida. So don't miss that. Sorry. Yeah, it is UFOs Over Florida. His regular books are called Humanoid Encounters, The Others Among Us. So
what do you mean final book?
He's retiring. But specifically, this is the last book that he's written so far.
Okay.
He's going to be doing another Humanoid Encounters, The Others Among Us for, I think, 2020 to 2023, maybe. Okay. And then that's it. He said he's done after that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, Jill rearranged her schedule just so she could be here more. Thank you. Cool. Yes, and as I'm fond of saying, Albert really brings the scary. his cases. So something I meant to mention to you, Walter, is after delving into the cases that he sent for our little project, they weren't as gruesome as I think the first couple. I think that he just led with those because they were shocking. But there's some good information that we can mine from his cases.
Cool. Excellent.
So yes, we will.
And we will continue with these projects. The getting the time travel novel out there in front of folks. And
that reminds me, I wanted to ask you, have you done an outreach to libraries?
Not recently.
Or
I need to do that once I get some the new revisions ready to go. Then I'm going to go for very specifically on a couple of other books. We're going for the library presence, but I haven't done it in a while. I am about to go after that again,
because those are an easy way to sell a lot of books.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is.
Also, are you into Kirkus reviews?
I've heard of them. I'm familiar, vaguely, basically familiar with them, but not into them.
So basically, what they do is, if you want it, your review like right away or pretty close to right away, you have to pay for them to do that. Otherwise, you can just let it languish, and they'll get around to it in about 6 months and give you a fair review.
I'll keep that in mind. That might be worth having some on Kirkus.
Yeah, and it's on free. I mean, it's free for them to do that. So it just takes a little longer than the traditional, pay to play type deal, which I know you wouldn't get involved in anyway. But John Zapola is in the house. JCVMF214. No idea. And you know what? It occurs to me that I need to create an outro with lots of, explosions and pew pew.
Yes. Play your intro backwards.
That would be confusing. Especially to me. I'm easily confused. And April Christman says, yes, it was a truly epic show with both Walter and Joseph Farrell. Now, I will kick in here personally and say, I don't think it was your best show with Joseph Farrell, but it was right up there.
Well, so far, did the last night's Malia? She's got her headphones on. I think it got more views in the first 24 hours, but I think that's because the word is out so naturally. I mean, I have a lot more subscribers, but yeah, that first one was a humdinger, I'll tell you.
What are you, over 5K now?
Yeah, I'm 5.55 as of 2 hours ago.
I remember.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I have so enjoyed this time together.
Yes.
Aside from being friends, we're working on other material
to make stuff happen.
We can't talk too much about, but so that will be continuing, and we'll have updates for people on that. And I'm very honored to be invited on your show.
It's long overdue. So we got to start making that happen.
I'd be happy to make it a regular thing. We just have to hammer out a time.
Yeah, let's do it. And one of the ones I'd like to do in the future is do what do you call that? The group viewing,
the watch party.
Watch party, yeah. Jeez, Walter. Yeah, we got to do kind of a little watch party or something. We'll figure out what that is. But yeah, good fun. The summer's upon us. The summer's approaching. We need to do fun summer things.
We need to find stuff to do other than go to Disneyland or Disney World.
Yeah.
Because those people are just idiots. Anyway, as you're fond of saying, 2 hours and 14 minutes of Walter Bosley is enough for anyone.
That's right.
But I do sincerely want to thank you for coming back on, and
thanks for having me.
Kind of giving me the kickstart that I needed to bring Into the Fringe back after a 2-month hiatus or so, and we'll be communicating off screen.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. And we're gonna, folks, probably sometime in the next week, Gil and I are gonna identify when he's gonna be on. So I'll announce that, the date of that, because I want that date nailed down. So,
by the way, this is probably something I should save for after the show once we're done, but because my phone call with Cameron Pashaw about adapting Larry Niven's body of work for Tales of Known Space on a streaming
yes,
service, I'm really looking forward to digging my teeth into the material that we're going to work on.
there you go. Yes, indeed.
It's all, I don't know why, but the Walter Bosley life is very exciting. It's crazy, Wow.
It can be
You're
a
a
roller
sexy
coaster
beast,
at times.
sir. You're a
It could
sexy
be
beast.
it's a roller coaster. A roller coaster.
I don't
let me
know
tell
when
you.
you find time to sleep, all the projects that you have going on.
Well, it's balls in the air, right? Balls
Right.
in the air.
As many as you can, and then you'll find out when it's too many.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that will do it for today's Into the Fringe. I want to thank our guest Walter Bosley for being here.
Thank you, Gil.
Our wonderful chat, our great mods, which you just saw in action. Boy, she just came in with a surgical strike and nailed it. And what's the word for when you favor family and put them in your administration?
Nepotism.
Yeah, there's no nepotism involved. Everybody gets the same chance if they put their name on the wheel. So
that's right.
And he says Code is the title.
The Code is the title of the movie made by Melissa Tittle, which I'm in. And there's other names you'll recognize in there, and she's kind of the star of it herself. It's a documentary film, and
where can we find it?
Google it or search for it on YouTube, and I know that the trailer will come up. But put in The Code, put in Melissa Tittle, put in Hathor Studios, Hathor, and it should come up. And you'll see my ugly face with my old big Bob Evans glasses. Bob Evans, picture producer. Hey, baby.
What was it? There was a documentary about his life.
The kid stays in the picture. And watch The Offer. Admittedly, I've only seen one episode. I gotta get back to it. But The Offer, about the making of The Godfather. Mm-hmm. And the actor who plays Bob Evans nails it. He just
I know.
Nails
it. I've seen photos of him, and not even hearing his voice, I'm like, that's a young Bob Evans.
Well, and the voice, the actor playing him in The Offer, just the voices and his mannerisms and stuff. It's a fascinating character. Check it out.
And again, April Chrisman says, I have bought a few of Walter's books.
Wow, thank you, April.
And we'll be buying for family and friends as gifts. And I've always said that the Walter Bosley library, so to speak, is, they make great presents for birthdays, Christmas, or whatever persuasion you happen to be.
Yes, they do.
And so buy lots and lots of them. And we've touched before on the idea about audiobooks, and I remember at least once you were sort of in disdain of them because they'd be easily ripped off.
Yeah, not disdain. I was concerned and disappointed that I just feel like I couldn't trust it. However, that said, I am in the process of recording what is going to be my first official audio release. It's going to be Secret Missions 2, The Lost Expedition of Sir Richard Francis Burton. Is coming to you in audio this summer.
I hope you're not working with Audible.
I'm exploring different platforms.
Audible
just to test the market.
Audible's now owned by Amazon, and we all know how Amazon loves to undercut mom and pop bookstores.
Oh yeah.
And they've
7-Eleven did it. The Southland Corporation did it first with the establishment and proliferation of 7-Eleven, and then a couple decades later, Blockbuster did it with the proliferation of their stores. It seems to be just yet another crappy thing that corporate America likes to do.
Yeah, and that's one of my major complaints with movies these days is that storytelling by committee or by people that aren't trained storytellers or screenwriters is just so prevalent these days. Don't even get me started on Star Trek.
Yeah.
But in any case, as Darius Munchausen says, thank you all for joining us tonight. And for Walter Bosley, it's Cardinal Sin, and we